Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another What If story. I'm your lovely host, Demonic. And this will be my part of the Secret Experiment series that I have going with, Raven. As for those of you who have not seen it, that which I hope most of you have, and I truly do, there will be a link to his, channel down below in the description. So yeah. One thing before this video starts off though, I expect many of you will probably point out that I'm not doing things word for word that Raven has done. I will freely admit there will be probably some differences of how I do it than he does. I am going to try and keep it as close as I possibly can, though, with his, what if. Mostly once he reaches the lab. But I have a lot to work with before we even get to that part. So yeah. Hopefully, you guys will be okay with that. Also, Raven, if you are watching this, I will try, and I really mean I will try to, stay as close to yours as I possibly can. But yeah. Let's begin, though. As we cut to the cell of the Gotham Asylum. The cell currently holding the good old Joker. As we can see, the Joker simply have a frown on his face, as he's simply mumbling, looking at the television, simply playing cheerful music, and, not really changing at all. As he's simply grumbling about the lack of entertainment. As all of a sudden, the screen would shut off, as something would begin to whisper in Joker's ear, as Joker would begin to laugh, crazily, like he usually does, when he's not trapped in this blasted cell that the Bat keeps throwing him into. As the whispering would suddenly stop, as Joker would have his signature grin on his face, as he simply says, "Yes, ma'am. I promise you, I will not disappoint." As we simply hear the guard outside, simply, open the door, as he would look at the Joker, having his gun raised, saying, "Quiet down, you. And who the hell are you even talking to anyways, you crazy lunatic?" As the Joker simply smiles, saying, "Oh, no one, Mr. Officer. I was just talking to my imaginary friend. She's very ethereal, you would say." As before the, guard can do anything, his face would immediately go blank, his eyes going dead, as his eyes would begin to glow a little bit, a blue in a way, as the guard's eyes were brown, but now they are blue, as a kind smile would appear on the guard's face, as the voice of the guard would be replaced with a female, saying, Well, Joker, as she hands the gun of the security officer to the Joker, along with giving him the security card, clearance, and a baton, saying, the technology of, well, this building is currently going on a bit of the fritz. So, do make good on finding, well, a way out of here. After all, I don't like it when my plans don't, well, work 100%. And remember what I said, please do get a hold of the League of Villains. I promise you, there will be an endless amount of fun knowing how much trouble it would cause Batman. As Joker would simply smile as he would look at the gun, saying, why, I do have to thank you, my dear, and I do like the sound of bothering the bats. It's been a while since I gone on a walk, as he's simply scratching his chin with the barrel of the gun, like a complete and utter madman. Finger on the trigger. I can't simply let the guard live, though, can I? As the smile would never waver of the possessed guard, saying, I don't expect you to let him live. Feel free to shoot. It won't hurt me. After all, you can't technically kill what's already dead. It doesn't exist anymore. As the Joker would simply smile, saying, true, true. You know, you're my special type of crazy. I swear, if I'm able to find you, me, you, and Harley should go on a walk together. Cause a little mayhem. As the possessed security guard would simply shrug, saying, that's if you find me. But I'm hoping that the bats do first. I want to play my own little game with them. After all, I was screaming for their help for a very long, long time, but they never did come. So, I think a bit of retribution is in order for me. As the Joker simply laughs, saying, you're definitely like Harley. As he simply whips the gun and blows the security guard a bullet in the head. As the now non-possessed body would fall to the ground, with the eyes returning back to brown, but still having a kind smile on its face. As the Joker would simply walk over the corpse, humming a little bit, as he would be humming a jolly tune. As we cut to 11 months later, after the Joker has escaped. As we cut to, well, Batman. As we simply see him watching a building through binoculars. As he simply sees the Joker get out of, well, the building. As the Joker seems to be talking to himself. As Batman just thinks nothing new about that. As the Joker simply looks right at Batman, smiling, wiggling his eyebrows a bit, with Batman simply lowering his, well, binoculars, shocked, eyes wide, as he thinks to himself that there's no way that the Joker could possibly saw him. As the Joker would begin to, well, walk away from the building. As not too far away, the Batman Batman would simply say to his radio, saying, "Enter the building and do a sweep. The Joker was there for some reason." As we could see a man in a leather jacket with cargo pants with a red mask over his head, with this being the Red Hood Jason Todd. As Batman would now go on to pursue the Joker. As a little while later, about 10 minutes or so, Batman has finally caught up to the Joker, with the Joker simply looking on, well, the surface of a pond. As he simply turns around saying, "Why hello there, Bats. I had a friend tell me that you were coming. And I must say, they are absolutely correct when they say so. Maybe I can have them as my new watch. They seem to be very good at keeping time." As the Joker would laugh a little bit at that, saying, "A living timepiece. That would be quite amusing. I wonder if any of my, well, former colleagues have tried to make such a thing. Though I'm sure the good doctor would be interested. But either way, my friend that told me you were around doesn't want me to fight you, so I won't. After all, she's been a great help as of late. I never been able to cause this much chaos on, well, a Tuesday before." But I'm sure you're wondering who I've been seeing. The group's name is, well, the League of Villains. Or as, well, my acquaintance likes to call them, Love, considering that's their acronym. As the Joker smiles a little bit at the mistake of the League of Villains acronym. As the Batman is honestly surprised, as he hasn't had the chance to even interrogate the Joker. As Joker simply says, "Oh yes, also, there's a nice little orphanage, well, abandoned one, that I think you might be interested in." As the Joker gives off the location and, well, its specific address. As the Joker simply, well, looks at watch, saying, "Seems like my ride has arrived." As a helicopter would come, well, flying past with a ladder down. As the Joker would simply get on it, as he would laugh like a maniac, waving like a lunatic at Batman, saying, "I'll see you around, Batman. We should do this more often. Maybe I'll bring my Uncle Spleen. I heard he can be a good conversationalist." As Batman would be a little bit unnerved at what the Joker told him, as all Batman can think is a monster factory. A factory designed to make villains. As Batman would actually shiver for once in his life. As Batman would also, well, be a little bit confused, as he's never heard of the League of Villains before, let alone the acronym LOVE. as he would call upon, a council meeting with the Justice League, with the elder members, the Young Justice, and the Teen Titans, along with, the members of his, little family. As Batman would tell, the council everything that the Joker told him. As some of the members asked if this information was trustworthy, considering that it came from the Joker without a fight. With Batman simply replying, "Everything that I know about the Joker tells me that I shouldn't trust his information. But the Joker never gives out information this easily. I have nothing to do but trust that he's not lying for once in his life." As the Justice League would all nod, trusting Batman as he has dealt with the Joker more than anyone else there. As the Justice League, the Young Justice, and the Teen Titans, along with, the Bat family, would perform a raid on this place. This old abandoned orphanage. As Batman would point out that there is, an elevator hidden somewhere, as they would uncover the said elevators, as there would be 9 or 8 there, as everyone would get in. As Batman would remark, looking at, one of his gadgets, saying, "We're going pretty far down. Seems like we're heading to Old Gotham." As everyone would get ready, as the doors would open, as everyone would get out of the elevators, as all of a sudden we could hear the humming of machinery, mostly the sound of electricity. As some lampposts would begin to activate, shining lights, as they would all see a building, a spiritual object, as they would begin to walk towards it, as a while later they would enter the facility, as the humming would suddenly stop, as a hologram would appear, saying, "Ah, the Justice League. How nice of you to show up." As the hologram would notice some smoking wreckage behind them, along with the panel of the door being ripped off with some wires being exposed. As it would go on with what it was, saying. "I wasn't expecting you so soon. You may call me the good old doctor." As everyone would simply see Cyborg walk over to, the image as his hand would go through it. As Cyclops looks back at them, saying, "Hologram, what is this place and what exactly are you?" "I am a artificial intelligence of this wonderful factory. You may call me the Heart. Welcome to one of my many monster factories, where I hold all my favorite children. Now, I have much to show you, but so little time. Now, follow me." As the hologram would begin to walk off, with everyone deciding to follow it. As the hologram would suddenly stop in a fork of the path. As the Bat family, along with Cyborg, Red Hood, Superboy, would head to the left, with the rest taking the right path. As the hologram would split in two, one going one way and the other taking the left path, with the Bat family and some of the Justice members. As the hologram would begin to speak, saying, "Ah, yes, Project Schrodinger. A failure? Well, a minor failure. Not really a failure, but a setback, if you may. I will say this. I might be an artificial intelligence, but even this place frightens me. After all, most machinery here tends to not work for some odd reason." As the hologram would stop in front of a door that has been barred off. With a sign being placed on the door in big red letters, saying, "Do not enter." As Cyborg would simply, walk up and look at the name above it, as he could read Project Schrodinger. As he wouldn't be able to tell the rest due to, the paint below it chipping away, as all he could make out was the name Erica. As what he's assuming was subject Erica with the subject's last name. As he would go ahead and tell everyone that. As he would simply say, "Hold on a second. Let me cut through these bars." As he would start cutting through the bars, as Superboy would walk up by, Red Hood, saying, "I don't like this place. It reminds me of things I rather forget." As the Red Hood would simply look down at Superboy, saying, "You and me both." As they would hear the falling of one metal bar. As Batman and Superman would walk up behind him, saying, "Don't worry. Wherever this place is, nothing could survive in there with how badly it was locked away." As a while later, Cyborg managed to cut through the bars, barring the door, as he would activate power to the door itself, with the door sliding open, as the hologram would flicker inside, saying, "Ah, yes. It's been a while since I've been in here. Erica was such a young girl. I would freely admit that. She was perfect, though, for what I needed her to be." As some of the Justice League that came with the bats would stare in horror, with some of the younger members of the bats, mostly the newest Robin, gagging a little, as we can see some rusty machinery attached to the ceiling on limbs, with a old table that you would see in, well, old Soviet Russia to interrogate prisoners. As there are still very clear bloodstains on most of the tools. As Batman would immediately head over to the computer, as Cyborg and Superman would simply walk up to the operating section, as the rest would be looking around, as we simply see, well, Superboy walk over to something that looks like glass, as he would, well, wipe some dust off, as he would look inside, as the water is perfectly clear, not murky at all, as the Red Hood simply comes over saying, "What is it, Superboy?" As Superboy simply says, "I'm not sure, but I don't think water is supposed to be this clear." As we simply see the Red Hood tap the side of his helmet, as his helmet software would begin to scan, as it would simply read, "Liquid unknown, properties unknown." As Red Hood would simply respond, "Well, I can tell you this, Superboy, whatever the hell that is, ain't water." As we can see a body floating near the back of the little pod, as Superboy would squint harder, saying, "Hey, I think something's in here." As all of a sudden, the body would no longer be there, where it could be seen. As all of a sudden, there would be a loud thump where Superboy has his hand, as he would move his hand away and stumble back a bit, as we could see a slightly slimmer hand. A hand that many would say would look fragile, as Red Hood would simply whip out two of his guns and point them at the pod, as the room would suddenly light up, as there would be a speaker connected to the pod, as we could hear some static from it, as Red Hood would simply move over while everybody watches him do so, as he simply has one gun still ready to fire as he wipes down the pod, as everyone would be staring in shock as they could see an extremely pale, figure with white hair and, a set of animal ears, with one eye looking severely messed with, per se, as the teeth are razor sharp, like that of a dog or a wolf, with most of them being canines, as we can see the blue eye that we saw the killed security guard have, as a voice would simply come through the speakers, saying, "It's been a while since I had visitors. So, are you friends of, the good doctor? Or are you wannabe heroes?" As that would get on the nerve of the youngest member of the Bats, the newest Robin, saying, "Who are you calling a wannabe hero?" As a bit of a laugh would come out of, the speaker, as she would simply look at Robin with no malice being clearly shown, saying, "You poor, poor boy. You truly don't know how the world works, do you? Sure, you might call yourselves heroes, but in the end, all of you are nothing but fakes. Frauds. After all, Batman likes to portray himself as a hero, but look at how many things he's done wrong. He has multiple chances to kill the Joker, but yet he hasn't done so." As she simply looks at, Red Hood, saying, "And you, I'm honestly surprised. So many problems with this city, but yet you stay here. Why do you do so? Is it out of respect for Batman? The man who couldn't save you? Or maybe you're just waiting for Batman to kick the bucket so you can kill Joker yourself, without his guilt getting to you. But either way, none of you are heroes in my opinion." As DI would simply, begin to try and say something, as the room would suddenly glitch a little, as the hologram would, simply flicker out and die, as she would simply, smile, saying, "Ah, yes, that's better. I must say, I do feel sorry for the heart, but it was truly a sick and awful creation." As she says that with a wolfish grin. As we simply see Cyclops walk up, saying, "So, can I assume you're Erica?" As Erica simply blinks at that, saying, "Huh, that's a name that I haven't heard in a long time. May I ask, how exactly did you come across that information? I thought the good doctor erased everything about me." As Cyclops simply explains to Erica that part of her name was still legible on the door, as she simply nods, saying, "Ah, well, I guess in that case, yes, I am Erica. And no, you will not get anything else from me. Besides, I think it's about time that, well, little brother gets out and sees the world. After all, I'm technically dead and don't exist." As Batman would simply narrow his eyes, saying, "What do you mean about that?" As her extremely pale hand would simply move through the liquid and point down below near the speaker, as they would see a monitor there constantly flatlining, not showing any pulse. As she would simply say, "For example, where your dear cybonic friend here came from is where I died." As Batman would simply say, "That's impossible. How have you not faded yet?" As Erica simply smiles, saying, "Oh, dear Bruce, you still have much to learn about the world. You might be older than me, but I am far more wiser than you'll ever be." As her body would go limp after saying that. As the door would immediately slam shut, with the lights going red in the room, as alarms would begin to blare. As we simply see Cyclops trying to, open the door, as her voice would chuckle in the room, saying, "You know, it's safer for you to be in here at the moment." As once everything unlocks, they all run out of the room, with Red Hood simply looking behind him. As Superboy would simply say, "Come on, she was just trying to get to you. We need to go." As eventually, the Batman group would have been told what happened. That Project Terror escaped, as we simply see Batman storm into the room and look at, Erica's body, as he still sees that's flatlining, as all of a sudden, the body of the muscles in the body would begin to twitch violently, as her head would snap up, as she would simply, smile at Batman, as the rest of the group is there, as some of them, wince, with some of them look like they're wanting to hurl, as they'll understand what that means, that this girl is not natural, by all rights, a flatline means that this person is dead. As the speaker would, activate, simply saying, "Ah, Bruce. I didn't expect you to visit so soon. What do you need?" As Bruce's teeth would grit, as he simply says, "You know what I want, Erica. What did you do, and what did you unleash?" As Erica's head kind of, moves side to side a little, as we can see one of her hands tap her chin, as she simply says, "Well, there are many things I did. You need to be a bit more specific." As Batman's eyes would narrow, as he says, "You know what I mean." As Erica would shrug, saying, "My brother needs to see the outside world. I decide to be nice and direct him to his freedom. After all, a kid needs to walk at some point, right? And as his elder sister, it's my job to make sure that my brother is nice and healthy. After all, he hasn't eaten for such a long time. Honestly, I'm surprised all of you are still here. To be fair, though, I was directing him not to kill any of you. If I wasn't here, I wonder how many of you would be alive. Either way, though, doesn't really matter." Though, I'm sure you're wanting something, Batman. So, I'll make you a bit of a deal. I'll give you a little bit of information if you move me out of this, stuffy place. After all, the grays and, steel is just not very appealing, if you know what I mean. As Batman would begrudgingly say fine, but some of his family of the Bats and some of the Justice League, telling him that that's a bad idea. As he simply waves them off, simply saying, "Oh, what could a dead person do? After all, my body's still here, and, as long as nothing happens to my container, I can't do anything. Nothing truly bad." As she says that with a wolfish grin once again. As she simply says, "So, when do I move, Batman? Or shall I call you Bruce? Or would Mr. Wayne be better?" As Batman simply responds, "Batman, please. And that's one of the things I want to know. How do you know me?" As she simply says, "No, I'm not telling you anything until you move me." As her body would go limp once again, just to prove a point. As Batman would sigh, simply saying, "Fine." As this is where I'm ending it, everyone. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This was me basically doing my best, trying to keep to Raven's half. As you guys can clearly tell, some of the stuff wasn't the same. As I did try to do a bit more with mine than I think he did with his, because I only seen his part 1. So yeah. So Raven, if you're watching this, you can finally start working on this again if you want to. As now that I have this started, I will be able to do a lot more, as I just had to get this figured out first. So, yeah. Don't forget to comment down below if you're new or old to the channel. If you want to see more, please say so. Also, please, if you know anybody or any people that would like to, well, watch stuff like this, please direct them to, well, my channel. Also, subscribing would be a great help too, as I would really like to be able to get the community tab up on this channel as well, like my other one. So yeah. On that note, ciao, and see you guys later. I'm off to work on my next video.